homemade injera, homemade elixir wat, Brazil wat, Tibbs, Gourmet, feta cheese. I bought the injera from the store. We're ready to munch. I have my elder rose drink here, non-alcoholic. Guys, I wanted to talk to you guys about my garden. I don't know what's going on in my garden. So, yeah, by the way, welcome to the back seat of my vehicle. But I want to talk to you guys about my garden. My garden is like not even yielding a lot this season. I don't know what's going on. It's been really humid this time around, this season, so maybe that's a cause. But I planted spinach, thyme, a bunch of herbs from seeds. As you guys can see, I started it with my in my garage. I started from seedlings, and they didn't yield anything. I planted from seedlings Nigerian greens. I planted, what else did I plant? Tomatoes, as you can tell, the tomatoes, I planted that from seedlings. Quite a few stuff. Green peppers, by the way, red peppers from seeds. And I tell you, those didn't yield anything, and I'm shocked. And the things that are yielding stuff are the things that were like started, like seedlings from like stores, like cucumber seedlings. I bought I think basil seedlings. I bought oregano. I bought thyme. What else did I buy? Parsley, cilantro. All those things are actually yielding something. And so weird because I actually thought starting it out in the spring, and you know, it's kind of just planting would just give me a better yield, but it didn't. Tomatoes that I started in my garage, oh my gosh, they yielded about 5 handfuls of like tomatoes, and I bought like Roma tomato seeds. I planted most of that because that's what I use in my stews and my soups and most of my cookings, right? And I bought some cherry tomatoes. I also bought some cherry tomatoes. I also bought some beefsteak tomatoes that didn't yield. So I'm just like, they yielded like 4 fruits basically, but I'm just shocked at how scanty my produce or my yields are. I think the mistake I made, like the tomatoes, I planted a bunch, like since I grew them indoors, I planted a bunch of them. This guy was like coming too close to my car. Anyway, so I planted a bunch of my tomatoes in bunches. So when I uprooted it and put it into my garden bed, they're like literally all together, like as you can see, right? I think I showed you guys that before. All together, and they kind of grew together in this bamboo, like what do you call this that I made? That bamboo cage that I made. And they all practically grew up together. So I think not giving them space to actually spread out and grow, and because they're so close in proximity, I think they're all like taking nutrients from each other. So that didn't help. It's too hard to be straight. So that's what I did. I think that was the mistake I made. Then the cilantro, the thyme, the spinach. I don't understand why that didn't yield anything, because the spinach kale would basically yield a lot, and it didn't yield anything. So I'm like, what's going on with that? So I can't explain that. The herbs, I thought they would yield. That didn't even uproot. My Nigerian greens, like maybe it's the seeds that I bought, because I bought seeds from a different supplier. It's sprouted, but it isn't maturing, and I'm like, okay, be patient. My jute leaves, very scanty as well. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that I'm just like, can you just be better? All that work I put in, I thought I was going to get a better yield. But next year, I think last year what I did was I bought a bunch of, I bought seeds, but I planted it inside, directly into the soil during like late spring, and just let it I didn't transplant, I just let it grow from there. So I think that's what I did, and it won't work out last year. So gardening is about lessons. You learn lessons and you move forward. So I think next year I'm gonna just put the seeds in ground when late spring comes. I thought by starting the seeds inside I was going to get a head start, but didn't do anything. So lesson learned. That's what I'm doing next year. What I did receive abundance amount of was the potatoes. Remember the potatoes I grew indoors and I planted outside? That yielded a lot, so I will be planting more yellow potatoes next year. I also, what yielded a lot was the garlic. If you remember the garlic sprouted, I planted that in ground, and it produced a lot of pearl. No, actually not garlic. Sorry guys, I'm not trying to. Oh yeah, it was garlic. So it produced weird enough, but no, it wasn't garlic. It was spring onions. So I planted, yeah, spring onions. Sorry, I planted a lot of like the spring onions that I used and cut the stems off and regrew it again. So I planted that in my garden bed, and that yielded a lot of pearl onions, and that was like great. So I'm gonna plant that next year. I'm just trying to figure out what worked, document this, and then know what I'm doing next year. That's about it. I think next year I want to focus again on herbs. I like drying my herbs and packing out freshness for the winter and the cold months. So I will grow more herbs next year. That's another thing. Basil yielded a lot. So what I've been doing with the basil is propagating them and just making a bountiful bed of basil so that I can dry. So that worked. Trying to think what else I have. Corn. Oh my gosh, Nigerian corn. So I bought corn from a supplier. Nigerian, specifically Nigerian corn kernels, and that has sprouted and it's stronger than American corn. So I will be buying that next year. It's actually tall. This is the tallest I've ever seen my corn plant produced in my life, because I grew corn when I was in the East Coast a while ago. It didn't grow as tall as this. I planted corn last year. It grew halfway and then died. And this one is actually tall, strong, and it looks like it's going to yield some corn. So I can't wait to have some Nigerian corn. So that I'm excited about. And that's it. That's my garden. So next time I'm putting a lot of work into doing anything in my garage, okay?